We got the Final Four chalk without the rock chalk or a Jayhawk. We got free agency flops, and we got baseball bats that were designed by NASA.
We got Duke versus Houston, Florida versus Auburn, and a new bat that's going to start a home run war.
That's right. Those weirdo bats are called torpedo bats, and it's built by a physicist. Are they going to be banned? I don't know. It seems like they fit within the regulations of a bat, so it should be legal, right?
It should be. But hey, it's late March. Actually, no, strike that. It's already April. The big wave of NFL free agency is gone. Chicago and Washington surfed it to shore. Dallas fell off their board and drowned in the ocean. Oh, what are we going to do?
I tell you what, we're going to talk a little bit about Staicy AI and how she might be coaching your fantasy team in the future, right?
Well, after what you did last fall in fantasy football, Travis, you're going to need all the help you can get.
Hey, last place is still a place.
It's true. So go ahead and hit play out there, or don't. Just don't come crying when your team doesn't sign anybody and your playoff hopes get blitzed away in week one. Or you could cry about it, and the NFL will change the rule like they do for Josh Allen.
Yeah, the fan base is your Huckleberry here on episode 10. Let's go.
Woo-woo!
Get ready, sports fans. The fan base is here. It's the show where heartbreak meets hilarity. We're roasting your rivals. We're hyping the home team. And we're turning sports disaster into comedy gold with your hosts, Fat McAfee, Marty McDonald, the other fat guy, Travis Wright, and the bald guy, Steve Moser. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to rumble. But don't fumble. It's the fan base.
Welcome to episode 10 of the fan base. We're excited to be here. We have to start off the episode, though, paying a little bit of homage to the legendary actor Val Kilmer, world famous actor in a variety of roles. But Chris, let's go ahead and take a moment and watch this clip from Top Gun 2.
Yeah, wow, so fitting right there. What a legendary actor. You know, he did such a great job. On some roles, he's just like a hero. You're just so happy for. Other ones, he's just kind of like that antagonistic, kind of douchey dude. But he was always such a great actor. I remember him in that first movie I saw. I think it was his first movie ever. Was Top Secret. That sort of like Naked Gun, kind of smart ass kind of movie, right?
Yeah.
Top Secret,
classic. He played Nick Rivers.
Yeah, I recall that one. That was a really good movie. Real Genius right after that. And then Top Gun is what I think as Iceman was probably set him apart, right?
Yeah, I think that was what kind of brought him to the global stage. And if you go back to like Real Genius, I mean, just a classic mid-'80s goofball comedy, college setting. You know, it had a bunch of great quotes in that movie. But then, shoot, he showed his acting range as Jim Morrison in the Doors biopic movie. He killed it in the movie Heat. Like, he was just a great dude. And I'll never forget, like, when Top Gun 2 came out into the theaters a couple years ago, like, it was one of those movies, like, I literally put it on the family calendar, like, we're going and we're going to go watch it in the movie theater. I don't care. It's going to cost me $100 freaking bucks with tickets and drinks and snacks and all that. And when that moment hit, like, and there was a clip that we were thought about playing, it was just a little too long for the show. You know, the theater was emotional. And there's just not a lot of movies out there that can draw that emotion and the sentimental power of Top Gun from the 80s and then this.
Yeah.
And, man, it's just it was rough to hear the news that he passed. I mean, he was a good dude.
Yeah. And he also had a great sense of humor, dude. Like he was he played the main antagonist in a movie that Will Forte was in. So Will Forte, they had this hilarious recurring sketch called MacGruber, and like it was just always really cheesy.
Yeah.
And so he was the main antagonist in that movie. He's a notorious terrorist. So it just shows that he had like a really good sense of humor and an amazing actor. And from what I've seen, he had a great heart. So
He did.
Shout out to Mr. Val Kilmer.
Yeah, and the legendary Dieter von Kunt and McGruber. So
Yeah.
great.
Dieter von Kunt.
Yeah. There he is.
Gruber. Yeah, so good. That's good.
Man.
Rest
Well,
in peace, brother.
pal.
Rest in peace. Yeah. Speaking of peace, I could use a piece of pizza.
I want me a piece of Jersey Mike's.
March Snackness. We covered it last week. We went over some brackets. We have now gone through and pared them down. We are now at the top. Sweet 16. Moser, are you with us, brother? Bring Moser on.
Is he picking
Moser
his nose again?
Food. This list made him hungry.
Very hungry.
I
was just reflecting back on the
his nose.
What?
I don't know if Mose was picking his nose.
No, I got busted last week, so no more, none of that.
Hey, Travis, by the way, in the post-production meeting from our last episode, Ryan from Staicy AI was pretty pissed on how we were discussing Texas Roadhouse. Apparently in Kentucky, that place is God, gospel, and everything.
Everybody loves Texas Roadhouse in Kentucky?
Yeah, maybe it's the yeast and the roll. I don't know, but
dude, I like Texas Roadhouse, dude. Like every time I go, like my daughter and I will go there regularly, maybe once a month. And dude, the food is always really good. And the service, the people are always pretty happy. And then you get those rolls with that like honey, cinnamon, butter or whatever. It's good.
That's how these man boobs got as big as they did, man. There's a couple Texas Roadhouse rolls up in here.
Right on. So let's pull up the chart here. So we came down to our final ones. Here we are. Well, that's the East region. Let's get down to the Sweet 16. We've gone through all those.
Might need to scroll over, right?
Yeah, you got to scroll over to the. Let's say that again. Yeah, scroll on over. There we go. Scroll on over to the. There we go.
We've got the 1980s graphic department here hard at work at the fan base. So,
yeah,
we're doing this in Google Sheets, guys.
Yeah. So we literally took this data and we put it into ChatGPT, and it screwed it up really bad, like epic shit show. But it was actually pretty funny. So we're gonna go ahead and keep it on in here. But this one's actually even. This was a little bit better. So in the South bracket, the number 1 seed is Whataburger. The number 2 seed is Popeyes. Number 3 is In-N-Out Burger. And number 4 is Outback Steakhouse. Those are the 4 teams. So the 1 and the 4, Whataburger versus Outback, and In-N-Out versus Popeye. You want to cover the East for us there, Moser?
Well, I see Whataburger versus Outback. I think it depends on how much money you have. If you're not looking to spend very much money, I think Whataburger gets the edge. If money is no object and you have more time to sit down and enjoy your meal, go with Outback Steakhouse in that one.
Okay. Yeah,
I like the winner to advance over the Popeyes. Who's Popeyes playing?
Jack in the Box.
No.
Popeyes playing In-N-Out Burger.
Yeah, we don't even have In-N-Out Burger, so.
Yeah, it's true.
They're getting ready to go upon a massive expansion in the United States.
Are they?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, well, when that happens, they can be in. But for now, they're out. How about that?
There you go. Out. There we go.
Some bullshit.
There you go. Marty, you want to cover the next one? You want to cover the East?
Yeah, in the East region, we've got the Titanic Fours, Texas Roadhouse, Five Guys, Jack in the Box, and Red Robin. So I've got unlimited French fries, stoner food. I've got Five Guys in your mouth, and the legendary yeast roll factory of Texas Roadhouse. So Texas Roadhouse is definitely knocking off Five Guys on this one. And I don't know, guys, unlimited French fries versus greasy food at 2:00 in the morning, Jack in the Box. I think Jack in the Box might take this one in an upset.
Well, if I were to put this list together, I probably would have had Whataburger instead of Jack in the Box. And then because Jack in the Box is okay, but Whataburger is exceptional. And I do like Outback Steakhouse. So I'd probably say, man, I've been really liking Whataburger lately, dude. Like they have a new chicken fajita taco that's like they take like a whole chicken breast, chop it up, and it's amazing. And so I would probably go with that. I do like In-N-Out Burger when I've been out there, but I don't care. Everybody loves the fries and they're like animals. I could give it or take it, but I could see how it's important. It probably should go into the Elite Eight and then get beaten by Whataburger.
Yeah. The thing with Jack in the Box that I like is they sell these greasy tacos, man. And I'll tell you, like it's a crispy shell, some meat substance, a slice of Velveeta cheese, lettuce. It all goes in the deep fryer together. They used to sell them back in the day, like when I was in college, where you get 2 of them for 99 cents. And we'd mow down like 6, 8 of these after a night of Scottsdale bar hopping back in the day. But, you know, they got a great chicken sandwich. Their breakfast is actually pretty good as well. So, I don't know. Jack in the Box, I think, could throw a threat to a lot of people on this list.
There you go. All right. So we're going to go to the Midwest bracket, which Taco Bell versus Olive Garden. Who do you got on that one, Mo?
Give me Olive Garden. I can't eat Taco Bell anymore. It's the following morning is just the worst.
It's explosive.
Yeah.
What do you think, Marty? Taco Bell, Olive Garden.
You know, we've got one stoner brand in this bracket with Jack in the Box. I got to go with Olive Garden. Unlimited breadsticks and awesome, amazing chicken parm. So gets my vote.
Oh yeah, dude. When you get that tour of Italy and you get yourself a little chicken parm and you get yourself some lasagna and some fettuccine,
a little bit of boxed
unlimited
wine,
breadsticks, and dip that in the marinara or the fettuccine. Great stuff. I'm on team Olive Garden. I think Olive Garden should be a 1 seed over Taco Bell. Taco Bell is so skimpy and shitty now. It just angers me when you go like, oh, is this your taco? Oh yeah, this is the flimsy ass shitty taco. It's horrible. They've made it unedible. I will never go to Taco Bell again.
Hey, do you have a restaurant in Lee Summit called Mi Ranchito?
Ooh, yeah, we do. Yeah, but it's like a sit down restaurant.
Yeah, but it's not that much more expensive than Taco Bell, and it's like way better tasting.
They have some shrimp ceviche in that place, which is really good. So I went there not too long ago and was like, dude, this is spectacular. I love shrimp ceviche. If you go to Mexico, get some of that. All right, what about at the bottom two, Papa John's versus Jersey Mike's? Who are you going with on this one, Mo?
I would go Jersey Mike's myself. That's actually one of my favorite sandwich places, Jersey Mike's.
Oh, it's pretty good. What do you think? What do you think there, Marty?
Jersey Mike's all the way. If my family could vote, Jersey Mike's would win this whole damn thing. But freshly sliced meat, freshly sliced cheese. They make a killer cheesesteak.
Yeah.
And
are you familiar with the secret menu? You've ever gone like the 99, and there's some of these other ones that aren't on the menu, and you can add. You should maybe do some Chat GPT on what's the secret menu at Jersey Mike's, and you might find something you like.
I might. And I didn't know they did wraps. And I'm now sitting there thinking I'm going to have them make me a buffalo chicken wrap next time I go there on the griddle.
That sounds pretty good. Jersey Mike's it is. And on to the West region, Little Caesars, a number 1 seed. I don't know how in the hell Little Caesars is a number 1 seed. Little Caesars would not make the top 64 if I was making the list.
They had an easy path.
He seems to like Little Caesars.
They had an easy path. They only went up against Krispy Kreme and Long John Silver's to get here. So they got the luck of the draw, but you can't beat a $5. Well, I guess now it's a $6 or maybe soon to be a $7 hot and ready. Can't beat it. And their cheesy bread.
Do you beat that? Awesome. Do you beat that versus Buffalo Wild Wings? Little Caesars versus Buffalo. Who wins that?
I'll B-Dub.
B-Dub. What do you think, Mo?
I think I would go Little Caesars.
For real? Okay.
Oh, upset.
I'm going to put the trump down and say Buffalo Wild Wings because they have beer there too. And they have lots of TVs. And Buffalo Wild Wings it is. Chipotle versus Chili's, the 2 seed versus the 3 seed. Who you got? Who you got, Marty?
You know what? I'm going to fix our high-tech graphic here real fast. I thought I did that before we went on the air. I'm going to go with Chili's. They got great nachos and great fajitas.
Their fajitas are great. And they also have some really good elote, which is Mexican street corn. I love that. Pretty good. What do you think, Mo? Who would you choose?
Yeah, I would go Chili's. You get a full meal. Chipotle, it's just the burrito. It's a really good burrito, but
I would go Chipotle on this one because I could eat Chipotle literally every day of the week. I get a Chipotle bowl and steak, and I get extra guacamole, and And then I love the Chipotle Tabasco. I would choose Chipotle, but I'm the loser because Mo and Marty said Chili's. So there we go. We have the Elite Eight, and we'll cover the rest of those. It looks like next week. So what is it going to be? Chili's versus Buffalo Wild Wings, Jersey Mike's versus Olive Garden, Jack in the Box versus Texas Roadhouse, and In-N-Out Burger versus Whataburger. There you go.
Ooh.
The Elite Eight of March Snackness is in. There we go. March Snackness. We got What a Black Steakhouse, Wingstop, Domino's. We didn't even have in there. What is that? Taco Caro. So
Little Caesars and Chili's merged to form Chilele.
What is
we got Fave Guys over there.
Fave Guys and what is that one that's Save Shack?
Is it supposed to be? Yeah, it looks like. Yeah, I'm not sure, but it's pretty funny. There we go. This this graphic's a little better, not quite great. It's like Whataburger. There's like a bird. I don't know what that logo is, and then Outback's on there multiple times. We got an In-N-Out. The logos are actually pretty good in this version. All things considered, Jack in the Box looks great. I mean, some of the logos look pretty solid. It can't figure out how to put them all into a graphic. But
still amazing that it can even happen, that we can do it this fast, because we literally built it while we were talking about this segment.
Right. Well, there you go. So I love it. Little Caesars, Ruffled Wild Wings. I like them. I think my favorite, though, was on the other one where it was What a Black Steakhouse. I kind of want to go to that one.
How does that even come up? Or AI
just made its own shit, dude. It's crazy.
It is.
Final Four preview. It is here. And here's all number one seeds are making it to the Final Four. Duke, Houston, Florida, Auburn, Moser. What's going on over here?
Yep. For only the second time in the tournament's history, the Final Four will be all four number one seeds. The first time it happened was in 2008 when the Final Four was in San Antonio. Do you know where the Final Four is on Saturday?
Ooh, is it in
San Antonio?
San Antonio?
It is.
Wow.
Interesting.
Very nice. So we got Duke versus Houston. That'll be good, dude. Houston has become a perennial powerhouse now. Like, they're not a secondary sort of a what's it anymore. They're in it. And we got Cooper Flagg versus Kelvin Sampson's amazing defense. What do you think we got going on with that? What's that? Is it huge?
The Python defense.
The Python defense.
Yeah, these probably are the two best defenses. They're just so long. Like, all their players, their arms seem like they're 2 or 3 inches longer than they should be. There's just nowhere to pass. Constant deflections of passes, bad passes. And Houston, same way. They just hassle the teams on defense. One thing, though, Houston, they used to be really elite at defense, but not so great at shooting. But this year, they're also good at shooting. I guess they're leading the country in three-point shooting. So
wow,
they are.
I remember Phi Slamma Jamma, right? Wasn't that Houston?
Yep. Elijah
that team. What was the guy's name? Elijah Wan?
Elijah Wan, yeah. And Clyde Drexler was the number 2 guy. I thought
an amazing team that was. And then they went like 30 years with sucking ass, and now they're back being decent again.
Well, I thought they'd won a championship, but they never did. They lost in back-to-back championship games. They lost to NC State's Jim Valvano team. Then they lost to Georgetown. That was an epic clash.
Those were
in '84, Georgetown versus Houston. But yeah, now Kelvin Sampson's gotten back to the second Final Four. So
haven't they been to like 7 Final Fours or something?
This is their 7th. Yep.
7 Final Fours. They've never won one. Conversely, with Connecticut, they've been to 6. They won every one of them.
No, I think they've been to 7. There was one that they didn't win. So
is it?
Yeah.
All right. I will always yield to Moser on that one. I just seem to remember every time fucking Connecticut's in a Final Four, they fucking win it all.
Well, 6 out of 7 instead of like 2 or 3 out of 7 is like kind of absurd when you think about it.
Yeah, because KU's been to like 13 and we've only won like 4.
No, we've been 16.
16 final games?
Final Fours, yeah.
No, 16 Final Fours. How many final games?
10.
10. Okay, I thought we've been to 12.
And how many national titles?
6.
3.
4 and 6.
4. 4-6. Is that what it is now?
Yeah.
Always yield to Moser when it comes to basketball, folks. Don't ever try to argue.
Always.
I just yelled. I'm like, is that it, Moser? He's like, he's basketball GPT. All you gotta do is ask him. He will know. It's pretty true. What about the other game, Mo? What do we got on that one?
Yeah, the first game will also. I mean, it won't be quite as good as the Duke Houston game. Still, though, top notch. The regular season champion of the SEC against the tournament champion of the SEC. Florida, Auburn. Florida, though, it's modern basketball. I just saw an interview. He actually patterned his roster after the Golden State Warriors of the 2010 through 2019 decade. And if you watch them play, the big guys do dribble and shoot.
So that's going to be the first game. Then is Florida Auburn. That's the first game on Saturday.
First game on Saturday, and then the second game around 7:45, 8 o'clock will be Duke versus Houston. Yeah.
So here's the big question, Mo, and I'll throw that to you as well, Marty. Does Duke survive Houston? What do you think?
I don't know. Well, the thing is, they have not been tested that much. You know what I mean? Like if you watch them,
KU early in the year, right?
They did, and recently in the semifinals of the ACC tournament, they had a really close game with North Carolina, who was not. They were kind of mediocre this year.
Very true. And then Houston only allows 58.5 points a game, right? So
I'm riding Houston.
Maybe Houston. I would say Houston's going to beat Duke. That would be my guess. What do you got, Marty?
I'm going Houston all the way. In my bracket that I did, we had a work one and a family one. I had all the number one seeds going to the Final Four, so I was one of the few folks out there that did it. Now the rest of my bracket sucked, but I got Houston winning this whole thing. I think defense wins championships this year. I think they're going to come out and surprise folks, and I think Kelvin Sampson's going to be cutting the net with his team. On Monday, right? That Monday's the national championship, right?
There you go. So
that will be interesting.
What about Florida Auburn?
Both games they feature a veteran coach in his early 60s who's been around forever against a coach in his 30s who's just kind of getting started coaching. So that'll be interesting to watch.
Dude, I gotta give it up for John Shire, though, dude, of Duke. He's done a great job coaching that.
Well, he has.
When you follow up a legend like Coach K, and then it's almost like they just kept on going, dude. They didn't miss a beat with John Shire.
He knew he had the Cooper Flagg coming in, elite recruit. He really did a tremendous job of putting his roster together with all the complementary pieces. He has this tall. I can't remember the guy's name, but the guy he throws the lob passes to, they're real in sync.
What, Knipple?
No.
Dude's name's Knipple. Like every time they say his name, me and my family, we just always start laughing. Knipple. Like, how much shit has that guy gotten in his life? I would my name is Knipple. I would change the pronunciation probably.
Yeah, I wonder if he goes back home and his friends needle him for picking Duke instead of Wisconsin or Marquette,
Would that be a Knipple twist?
Yeah.
That's what you do. You give a Knipple twist. All right, my prediction is I think Florida is going to beat Auburn, but I really don't know. So don't take my word for it. But I do think it probably Houston versus Florida makes sense to me. And what I love about this, basically, this Final Four is basically a KenPom circle jerk, because he loved. He's like, here's the top ones. I said it, and they're in the Final Four, you guys. This KenPom guy kind of reminds me of Mel Kiper.
Well, not just this year. He's saying these are four of the best teams like in the last 25 or 30 years.
Really?
Since he started charting the data. Yeah.
Well, dude, that's where I will come in and I say that the NIL and the transfer portal is changing the game on college sports. It really is. Personally, as we discussed last week, I think it's kind of ruining it. But it is what it is. What are you going to do?
We just mentioned some of those 80s championship, like the 80s when everybody stayed. If you were really good, you left 1 year early. That's
no kidding. It's a different era now. And once Kevin Garnett and Kobe and those guys, you started doing the zero and done, going right straight to the league, and then LeBron straight to the league. I mean, you got to be really good to go straight to the league, because if you fail, you can't go back to college play. You got no eligibility left. So good luck to them. There you go. Yeah. You got any final words on that, Mo or Marty?
No, I think it's just I'd like to see the NCAA pass a rule that they don't allow transfer portal to begin until the national championship is done, because I think you had like 14 or 1500 in on day one, and now it's something like 2500. Last I saw is in the transfer portal, and um, it's crazy. Uh,
It's like you got to
yeah,
create a brand new roster and team every
yeah,
year. You
you
got
do,
to re-recruit your people. Just
you
like
do.
Moses and I were talking before the show, KU is losing people that would get big minutes in next year, and they're going to the portal. So I mean, what's going on?
Indiana lost their entire team. They literally have no rostered players right now.
Really?
And then
Everybody's in the portal, or they
this is
graduated out.
Wow.
now this is not really a sports question so much, but isn't it? Now this is how I remember it. But in order to get your bachelor's degree, don't you have to have the final 60 hours from the same institution?
Well, you do, but
But how
that
can you
doesn't
just
mean
be
anything.
transferring around willy nilly every year then?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's what a lot of people don't realize is certain schools are not always bringing in every class that you get, and it's becoming an issue. Like, you don't hear a lot of graduation stories with transfer portal players. It's always what you're going to hear is, hey, I had to go back to campus to finish things up to get my degree. So that's kind of the unintended consequence of this whole situation right now.
Mm. So should there be limitations on how many times you could transfer? It would seem to me that like you shouldn't be able to transfer every year. Like
Right.
you shouldn't be able to transfer until after the end of your sophomore year, right? It would seem to me,
Yeah.
and then maybe after your
There's-
junior year, if you didn't like maybe one transfer you should get, and if you decide to transfer again, you got to sit out a year or something. There's got to be some
Yeah.
limitations. You can't have a free for all, Mo.
No.
Maybe like if your coach leaves, then you can, but like uh, something like that. Or you get one freebie and then you have to sit out, like you said. That would be a good one.
Maybe it's like this: is that it's such a screwed up system now? It's like, all right, I'm pretty good. I'm who's going to pay me the most to come next year? Oh, we'll pay you this much. Okay, boom. And then at the end of that year, they go, okay, who's going to pay me the most to come play next year? It's
Oh,
like it's
That's
weird.
what it is.
that's
Yeah.
exactly what it is. You saw the head coach from Drake. He went to Iowa State, I believe, and
Iowa, yeah.
Drake's or Iowa, and
Regular.
he took Drake's number one player with him, and that's now the third school that that player has been in, and so it is what it is. I know the NCAA and all the sports, you know, are working through a lot of things with NIL and the portal, and I think there's going to be some caps that are going to start to come in, and I think some players are not going to be allowed to make an unlimited amount of money off of name, image, and likeness, and so I don't think we're out of the weeds yet. It's going to be really an interesting next couple of years on this topic.
There we go. That is the March Madness. And I want to just throw in a plug right here for Staicy AI, because Staicy AI is really doing some amazing stuff when it comes to taking analytics, sports data, plus AI and putting it all together and creating amazing opportunities for the sports bettor to have better insights. They're trying to get their picks up to 70+% accuracy. And so, as we're talking about college basketball and getting ready to talk about MLB, what do you think about that, Marty? AI plus crypto plus all this sports data and creating betting opportunities.
It's going to be a game changer, Travis. And I know yesterday, well, today we're shooting on a Thursday. On April 2nd, Staicy AI went public with their initial token release and saw an immense amount of interest in that initial wave. And it's still continuing today. I was just looking at things right before we did this. So big things. I know the dashboard is coming out soon, and then you're going to be able to start making using Staicy to make your baseball picks. There's going to be different levels of subscription that you can get to, and the more token you have, it's really going to unlock a lot of benefits. So if you're a degenerate gambler out there, a novice gambler, a middle of the road gambler, you're going to have a hell of a resource in Staicy AI to maybe kind of get you back onto the path of the straight and narrow and use a little logic in those crazy parlays that you want to hit big on.
Hey, I'm a degenerate gambler. I'm pretty shitty at it. Are you talking to me?
I'm talking to you, and I'm
Yeah.
talking to me.
Nice. Hey, as we're talking, you mentioned they're going to be doing MLB here pretty soon. So have you seen these new bats the Yankees are utilizing, Marty? Which I know you're a big baseball guy. I know you've seen it. What are your thoughts about these things?
The torpedo bats, I guess regular bats are for boomers now, is probably the best way to say it. But the story of Aaron Linhart is amazing. This guy had this like NASA background. He was a PhD physicist, and now he's like the bat whisperer.
Mm.
And he left his world to join the Yankees of all freaking organizations several years ago. And he's kind of been developing this thing since then. And then he just joined the staff of the Florida Marlins here in the offseason. But this bat itself is revolutionary. It's extremely logical. It's within the MLB parameters. There's only 32 MLB approved bat manufacturers out there. My buddy owns a company called Zener Bats, and Scott and I were talking about this a year ago. Not the torpedo bat, but just the process. Because he's got a lot of pros that swing his stick. But now with this torpedo bat, I got an email today from Rawlings, marketing it to me because my kids are involved in stick and ball sports. Vickus has already got a model out on the market. Like, it's
Are these metal bats? The ones that
they're
are
wood bats. They just
wooden bats.
they're taking the wood bat.
One of them just to have. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and they tweak the sweet spot. Chris, I know we got a video on this. Let's take a look at what the video has to say.
Torpedo bats.
Torpedo bat.
So-called torpedo bats.
The torpedo bat was developed by MIT physicist turned baseball coach Aaron Lenny Lienhart when he was an analyst in the Yankees organization. The bat features a customized barrel for each hitter, where the standard swell of the bat is replaced with more wood in the barrel, shifted closer to the hitter's hands. Along with the Yankees, the Twins, Rays, and Orioles are also using them, with other clubs expected to follow suit, and the bats fall under current MLB regulations, so they don't appear to be going anywhere.
Yeah. So the bat, according to MLB Rule 3.02, here are the legal limits for bats in the MLB. They got to be smooth, round stick, maximum barrel diameter 2.61 inches, maximum length 42 inches. These torpedo bats fit those parameters. They just move the barrel
Down closer to the hand.
Closer to the label. Well, because Anthony Volpe sucks and he was never hitting the sweet spot. Giancarlo was missing out on him. So that first game of the year, they hit like 17 home runs or something. How many did they hit? It was retarded.
It was stupid amount of home runs. I think he got like 15 home runs. But I will say this: no other team has more strikeouts in the MLB right now than the Yankees. And so there is a little bit of a correlation there. But it makes sense when you have the barrel and getting it down to the hands, because a lot of the bat breaks are above the barrel, right? Which is technically the skinniest part of the bat and the weakest part, right? And so kind of bringing that in, it makes a lot of sense. And it's kind of like a bowling pin with a vendetta, so
nice.
It's crazy.
Kind of reminds me of those bats you used to play with wiffle ball, those really big ones,
Oh, yeah, the big old fatties.
The big red
those things, bro.
Yeah.
That is crazy. Look at that. Mo, what do you think? What's your thoughts on this, bro?
That's what I was going to say. It reminds me of when you get your friends together to play wiffle ball and everybody's got a regular skinny bat, and then one jackass shows up with that red fat bat. You're like, no, you can't use that thing. What the hell? Get out of here.
No, it's within limitations. It's with a 2.61 inch diameter.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Which is weird, Travis, because those were my wife's requirements for marrying me. So I guess I fit them.
Nice. You fit 2.6. Dude, you're rocking a hog, bro.
41 inches? Good God.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Don't call me tripod for nothing.
Yeah, they said she goes, we need to make sure his penis is less than 42 inches. That's the maximum.
Hey, when I go for long walks on the beach, you know it.
I'm just going to plop myself right here. Got the lean going on. Well, there you go. That is the torpedo bat. We'll be hearing more about that. I can tell you who's not using torpedo bats. That's the Kansas City Royals. They are not using any bats so much yet, really. Hopefully they start using some bats.
Steve was telling me
the entire Central Division.
Yeah. The whole AL Central is what, 2-4, Steve?
Yeah, we have the same record. Tied for first, baby. 2-4.
Wow, we're tied for first. Dude, that just uplifted me. That just made me feel so good.
Does that mean the Chicago White Sox in April are tied for first place?
Yeah.
Dude, they got a hell of a run differential.
That explains why this world is gassed up right now.
So crazy. All right, so that's the bat scenario we got going on, and for the final segment of the day, let's talk to Moser with some Moser moments. What do we got going on in the world of sports history, good sir?
Yes, sports history for early April. I really need to order a bow tie. I feel like if I can
Yeah,
be completely history professor look.
dude, we should get that for you. That'd be hilarious, actually.
Today's theme, these are very similar stories, actually. They both happened in early April. The first one happened when I was a little kid. I do not remember it. I was only 5 years old. But Hank Aaron tied Babe Ruth for the career home run lead at 714. And then 4 days later, on April 8th, 1974, he broke the record of 715. And then, do we have the clip of him breaking it?
Everybody's seen that so many times. I just always wonder, like, who's that dude who jumps on the field and is like,
yeah.
Like,
that's what's so
that guy
crazy.
Shouldn't have gotten tackled, bro.
Yeah, in the 70s, they just let complete strangers go out there, and I guess I don't know.
Yeah, I'm surprised like they didn't stab him real quick and be like, "Sorry, that doesn't count, bitch."
Yep. And what I was taken aback by doing the research on this was the legendary announcers. Also, like this was called by Vin Scully, and
wow.
Then
do we have the audio of Vin?
Yeah.
1 ball and no strikes. Aaron waiting. The outfield deep and straight away. Fastball is a high drive into deep left center field. Buckner goes back to the fence. It is gone.
Here comes a total stranger guy. Yep. Two guys.
Kind of look like Bruce Jenner. So that ball hit between the outfield and the main stands, right? So it looks like that ball was salvaged and probably went right straight into the Hall of Fame. I would guess.
Oh yeah.
Nice. And there was a lot of civil rights impacts to this also in the South. It played for the Atlanta Braves.
Right. He's in Atlanta. They were saying lots of racist things that a black man would beat Babe Ruth, huh?
For breaking a record of an all-time baseball idol. And it is a great moment for all of us, and particularly for Henry Aaron, who was met at home plate not only by every member of the Braves, but by his father and mother. He threw his arms around his father.
Literal Brave.
And as he left the home plate area, his mother came running across the grass, threw her arms around his neck, kissed him for all she was worth. As Aaron circled the bases, the Dodgers on the infield shook his hand, and that was a memorable moment. Aaron is being mobbed by photographers. He is holding his right hand high in the air, and for the first time in a long time, that poker face of Aaron shows the tremendous strain and relief of what it must have been like to live with for the past several months. It is over. At 10 minutes after 9 in Atlanta, Georgia, Henry Aaron has eclipsed the mark set by Babe Ruth. You could not, I guess, get two more opposite men. The Babe.
Just kind of laid it in there right in the middle.
So sociable. And oh, so immense in all of his appetite. And then the quiet lad out of Mobile, Alabama. Slender and stayed slender throughout his career. Ruth, as he put on the poundage and the paunch, the Yankees put their ball players in pinstripe uniforms because it made Ruth look slimmer. But they didn't need pinstripe uniforms for Henry Aaron in the twilight of his career.
A lot of white guys have the Beatles hairdo in the
mid-70s. When he first came up 20 years ago.
I mean, a magical moment in just MLB history. And I'll tell you, Vin Scully. I mean, the guy could read a menu at Denny's or Chili's and bring it to life like no other. Like, just two icons, right? Vin on the mic and Hank in the box. And That was cool to watch. That was a great moment there, Steve.
Yep.
Yeah.
So Hank Aaron was the record holder for a while, obviously. Then Barry Bonds, he took it over. But now it's weird. I want to ask you this, Mo, because the the Cooperstown Hall of Fame has kind of merged the Negro League stats with Major League Baseball stats, and Josh Gibson had said anywhere between 800 and 1,000 home runs, and then you got from the old Beastie Boys saying got more hits than Sadahara. Oh, like he hit a lot of home runs over in Japan. Like, are we like? I wonder what the real ranking is now for the most home runs when you're taking in consideration all those leagues.
That would be hard to kind of measure because the pitching in Japan and the Negro leagues were probably not quite as good. You know what I mean?
And the record keeping wasn't as great in those leagues, right?
Really yeah.
So,
that would be difficult.
But
that's part of it.
You hit a home run, you hit a home run. I don't. It's hard. It's actually, to me, harder to hit a home run off a 75-mile-an-hour fastball than a 90-mile-an-hour fastball because the speed of the pitch is doing all the work, right?
Mm-hmm.
So a home run is a home run. We should actually rank these guys on a future episode. Like, that'd be kind of a little. I'll volunteer for that homework.
I tell you, I'd put Josh Gibson number one just because he was. I mean, he started when he was like 17. His whole story is really awesome, and then he died young. And but they're saying he hit 800 to 1,000 home runs, and Buck O'Neil would say there's only 3 people that when they hit a home run you could tell because it sounded distinct. One was Babe Ruth, one was Josh Gibson, and the other one was Bo Jackson.
Oh, believe it all day.
But really, that's part of the why it was so monumental for the African American community because they'd been locked out of being able to play in the elite level for so long. There had only been about 20 years since Jackie Robinson. So to take over the lead from Babe Ruth, that was pretty iconic. Like you say,
Willie Mays was in the Negro Leagues for I think in Huntsville, Alabama, or Birmingham, Alabama, one of those places. And so he played there for a few years before he finally ended up coming to the major leagues, and he hit 660 home runs in the major leagues. So Willie Mays, huge story. I don't know. I don't remember if Hank Aaron played in the Negro Leagues or not.
I don't think he had
to. About that era. Did he?
I think he was a little bit younger. I don't think he had to. But man, this is a perfect segue. Very comparable. Same thing. 10 years later, and now he's number 2. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar became the all-time leader in NBA scoring, passing Wilt Chamberlain on April 5th, 1984. I was reading up on Kareem. I knew Kareem was like a legendary player, but he was voted the MVP 6 times. And this is crazy. He made the All-Star game 19 years. Like it's crazy for most people to play for 19 years. He made the All-Star game 19 times.
When he does that sky hook, that Kareem sky hook, I was like, dude, if Hunter Dickinson just had a little bit of that in him, just like.
There you go. Blazing Jayhawks again.
He can hit those 18-inch buckets.
Well, you just can't defend that. I mean, it's impossible to.
You can't.
It's really hard to guard.
You can't defend Hunter.
There you go.
Everybody found out.
And that the legendary broadcaster on that was Brent Musburger. He was probably pretty young back then in the 80s. Then our third sports moment of early April is the 1985 championship game between Villanova and Georgetown. I know we talked about 1979 championship last year. This was kind of the impetus for getting the shot clock going because there was no shot clock. I think there was a shot clock in the NBA at the time, but not college. And so the proponents would say, well, yeah, but somebody could just like play catch and not ever shoot. And most people did not do that. But Villanova was so outgunned in this game that was kind of their only chance to do it. They wound up only taking 28 shots in the game, but they made 22 of them, 79% from the field. So we'll probably never see that record broken, I don't think.
Probably
but I think, some of it was just, they were going for the repeat, but I don't think they took Villanova seriously.
That's when March Madness started getting crazy, dude. When Raleigh Massimino came out there and they were like, what, an 8 seed or a 9 seed or something?
8 seed, yeah.
Yeah, they came out and they won, dude. They shocked the world, dude. I remember Patrick Ewing just looking dumbfounded, dude. Like, what?
Oh,
Didn't they win the next year, though? Didn't Georgetown win?
No, they won the previous year in
They
84.
won the previous year. That's right.
Yeah.
Yep.
But then Ewing got drafted right after that game.
Yep. He was number 1 draft pick in 85.
Yeah.
Wow. There you
But
go.
John Thompson, man, you talk about like legendary coaches in March Madness. John Thompson is right up there. I mean, just a legendary guy at Georgetown. And like, Steve, how did he coach like 30 years there?
Oh yeah, it was really long. And they had this. There's actually it's widely regarded as the best high school basketball team ever in 1981, Baltimore Dunbar High School, and they had 3 of the 5 starting 5 on that team. David Wingate, and I think one was like Jackson.
Yeah, Wingate.
Mm-hmm.
There we go.
Yeah, I just looked it up. John Thompson, 27 years with the Hoyas, 1972 to 1999.
And then his son took over, right?
Yeah.
Is he still there?
No.
700.
Because Georgetown hasn't been good in a while, dude. They haven't been good in a while for sure.
I think it was Allen Iverson era. That was I think they made the Final Four, and then he stepped aside for his son, and then you're right, they became kind of mediocre.
Yep. Well, there you go. Mediocrity. Hey, at the end of every year, everyone's a loser except that one team. So, I mean, depending on what league you're in, if you're in a major league sport, like 97% of us are losers. There's only one winner. It's like about 3%. If we're talking college basketball, like it's like 0.00 whatever win. That's the one winner. 99% of us are losers. So everybody's a loser at the end of the day, unless you're a winner, right? Right, Marty?
Sure.
Well, there you go, folks. We had an amazing episode here for you today. Wanted to talk about that. We're going to actually cover the free agency in NFL next week because we've run out of time today. We want to keep this underneath an hour. We were actually going to keep this one under 30 minutes. That didn't work because we got words.
Whoops.
Right, Marty?
We did. We got great intentions here at the fan base. We're still trying to figure this thing out. Our whole goal is come week 1 of NFL season this fall, we are running this thing like a smooth-oiled machine. In fact, rumor has it, Travis, we might even see Steve on 4K camera here pretty soon.
Oh, my goodness. This is exciting times. Mo, you got any final words of wisdom for the folks out there today?
I'm going to be an anti-Luddite and get the Ring camera. I switched my insurance to State Farm because they have this granny driver's deal. But the thing is, you got to prove that you're not driving that much. And I'm such a Luddite, I don't know how to install this on there. So State Farm called me like, hey, do you want this discount or not? But then
you put it in your pocket.
Hey, I told you I was a granny driver.
That goes into your CD player in your car.
Yeah, I got to figure it out. There's an app or something. I don't know.
No, it's normally like underneath the lower panel of the driver. There's like a little thing it connects into. So hopefully you figure that out. But we appreciate you, Moser. We appreciate you, Marty, and we appreciate everyone. We didn't have a food one this week, did we?
We didn't. We had to cut it because we ran out of time.
Sorry, Nick, Chicago Chef. We'll get you next week, brother. We love your dishes. And we'll get that on there next week. So we want to say thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Make sure to like us and subscribe. And you know what? There's this other video right here you might like also. Make sure to tune in. I might be over there. I think click one of them and quit being a loser. Make sure your team doesn't suck next year, okay, you guys?
See ya. Episode 11 coming soon.